Hi everyone, my name is Heather. Welcome back to the Graphics Fairy. I'm going to be sharing a tag with you, how to create a tag for Tag Team Friday today. And yeah, so I'm going to be doing like a sepia tone tag, kind of neutral colors. And I'm going to use this image of the birds from the premium site of the Graphics Fairy. It's beautiful. I love the birds on the branch with the flower. So that's going to be my main image. I'm also going to use these elements. I had this vintage postcard in my stash. I really like this side of it, but I don't care so much for this side, so I'm going to be covering this up. And it's a good idea to use little things like that if you collect like some vintage papers from a flea market or whatever, and you don't really like the image that's on it. It makes a nice base because it's sturdy, and maybe you might like one side, or even if you don't like both sides, you can cover both up. So just keep that in mind. This little piece of paper was over top of the postcard, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of tracing paper or like an onion skin paper. So if you don't have any vintage paper like this, definitely tracing paper would be a great option, and then you could just kind of age the edges around. So we're going to be using those. And then I have this piece of packaging that I got in the mail. It's just a piece of brown packaging. It was an envelope, so I'm going to use a piece of that. I just like the color. And then also this image here is just a background image from the Graphics Fairy premium site. I like the line, so I'm going to probably use that on the back of the tag. So we'll see how it all comes together. But these are all the pieces that I had chosen. Oh, and then I'm going to use this stamp. I have a lot of stamps. I hardly ever use them, so I thought I would pull one out and use one today. I think I'm going to use it on the back of the tag just to add a little bit of extra detail back there and give a place to write on the back. So yeah, so later on I'm going to stamp that onto the tag whenever we finish. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything ready here. So basically I'm going to take this postcard and I am going to glue it to this brown paper to make my tag. And I think I'm going to make it a little bit taller. So like I'm just gonna cut off that much of the postcard, and I'm gonna make the tag a little bit taller than what it is. Okay, so once we have that cut, I may end up cutting a little bit off the bottom, or I might just fold it up at the end. I'm not sure. Okay, so then I want to take my little bird image and kind of line it up on here where I like it. So I'm thinking something like this. And then what I'm going to do is come in with my paper, I'm going to call this onion skin paper because that's what it kind of reminds me of. And I'm going to cover that up. So I'll just go ahead and glue all this together, and then I'll be back in a sec. Before I go any further with the gluing, I glued these pieces together, but I was getting ready to glue this piece on. And I wanted to remind you that you can easily ink around all of these edges, which I think is kind of nice. So I'm just gonna lightly do that. And then I'm gonna lightly ink on that one edge that I cut. Okay, so now that everything is glued together, I have it all glued. I'm gonna take this piece of vellum or onion skin paper, and I'm just going to glue it to the top like that, because I kind of love that translucent look. This Oohoo stick, I think that's what I'll use to attach that so that it doesn't get any glue marks. There we go. That worked perfect. So yeah, the glue stick works really nice for that. So any type of like see-through paper. So there, I love that. I love how that looks. It just softened that whole image a lot. Really pretty. So then I thought that I would take some of this paper, and basically for the back, I thought that I would just take some of this paper. Okay, so everything is glued together now. I have everything glued, and this paper's on the back, and like I said, I think there's just a little tiny bit of that white on the edge, which I like a lot. And then I just folded that up for now. I'm gonna leave it because I think I'm gonna end up putting a eyelet here. So yeah, so we'll decide towards the end. So I have these little scraps. This is again another little piece from this packaging. It's just brown paper packaging. You could use a lunch bag or any type of brown paper, wrapping paper, anything. Then I have just this little scrap of, I just have this little scrap of from a vintage dress, and I just tore off a little piece. I'm thinking about layering some of this up at the top. I like the little frayed edge there. And then I'm also considering using this piece, which has the button. So if you have any little, you could go to the thrift store, you could do whatever. If you have a little piece of lace and a button separately, you could kind of combine them to get that same look. You don't necessarily have to use, you know, something from a piece of clothing. But I think I'm going to layer this up at the top. We're gonna see how it all looks. Maybe something like that. Yeah. Okay, and then I'm gonna come back in with my little scraps. This little piece, that little lace piece, and this piece. Was it that one? No, it was this one. Let me see if I can get this to look how I'm thinking in my head. So I was just trying to get like some different layered textures up there at the top. And I do think that looks pretty good. Okay, so I glued everything together, and you can kind of see that there's little bits of layers up there at the top, and all of these little frayed edges, and then the button that was already attached to that little piece. But like if you didn't have a little piece of that little garment like I did, you could just, you know, get like a separate button and just, you know, glue it on yourself. So yeah, so that's what that is. And then so basically it's just kind of like trying to make little layers up there. And then our sheet music, and then we will turn it over, and I think this is where I want to put my stamp. I'm just gonna stamp that on the back just to give a little bit of interest. I want to add a eyelet here, so I'm not gonna go too low. I guess I'm just gonna kind of put it right there. Okay, so I'm just going to line that up, press down. Pretty good. I'm always afraid I'm gonna mess up my stamping. So yeah, so that looks good. So that just gives a little bit of interest. So if you have some stamps that you haven't used in a while, get them out and just kind of stamp on the back. I also really like that you can write on the back if you wanted to put a little message to someone. So yeah, so then the very last thing we're gonna do is add the little eyelet at the bottom. So typically, you know, on a tag, we put the little circle up here, and we put the ribbon through. So on this one, I'm going to punch a hole in the bottom, like right about here. And then I'm going to come in with a little eyelet and put it through there. Use my little crocodile tool, which sets the eyelet. And you just squeeze, and then the eyelet is there, and then we'll put a little ribbon through there. And I have this really pretty, it's like white, kind of like a gauzy type ribbon. Okay, I'm just gonna use my scissors to push that through. There we go. Then just gonna kind of tie it at the bottom. Okay, so there we have it, and it's all finished. I like the little bit of white with it because it just kind of plays on those different tones, like the darker and the little bit lighter, the white button, the white ribbon, and then all the kind of sepia tones of this tag. And then I love the stamp, and I actually really like the brown ink, even though that was a mistake. I had plans on using black. So yeah, I like that. I like that a lot on the back. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the process of creating this tag, and I will see you again soon. Bye.